Okay, so we've got all of our cups about halfway full with soil from our mix. I'm gonna put a little finger divot in the middle just to give an aiming spot for the seeds. Not totally necessary, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So we're gonna give them a drink of water. This is our base soil. The seeds are gonna go on top of this, and then we're gonna put more soil on top. So we wanna wet this. Nice and moist. Give those seeds a nice good contact spot. The seeds that we're going to be using today, so this is going into the 2025 season. The seeds, I'm going to do half and half. These are all going to be cherry. I have half Sweet 100 seeds that I've saved and half chocolate cherry seeds that I've saved. The Sweet 100s are going to be from 2003. And the chocolate cherries are going to be from 2002. So 2 years old on half and just about 3 and change on the other. And I have full confidence in them. It's going to be fine to use those seeds. I've used, every year I try to save seed. The best out of the bests. So I've used those seeds last year and they germinated fine. So I see no reason why they won't this year if you kind of properly keep them at just a nice kind of even, cool-ish. Doesn't have to be totally cool temp. We keep ours tucked away in little envelopes down in the basement. We have a little corner in the basement where we've kind of adopted our seed storing and other just little oddballs to kind of make sure they stay in one spot during the off seasons. It's just kind of a good way to keep track of all of our stuff. These couple over here to the side, those are already planted. Those are chamomile and rosemary. So that's why we're not playing with those right here. So a couple more drippy drops. And then we'll get to the seeds, and I'll show you our little packets that we use. Get this nice and moist. It's not really a way to over moist this. There is some, looks like vermiculite in here, so that's good. So first set of seeds, we're gonna go. What do I have here? 12, 13, 14 cups. So we'll go half and half. So these are just the little tiny little envelopes. We bought a box of like 100 or 200 or something of these tiny little envelopes, and that allows us to save the seeds for it. And we can label it and we put the year on it, and we kind of keep, we just kind of retape it. Sometimes I'll use paper clips or what have you, and that's fine. So we're going to get a little bit out on my fist. Just like with most of our other crops, I tend to do 2 seeds per hole. Sometimes it's a little bit more, because sometimes they clump up based on how we save them. We do a technique that I saw we got from a gentleman at a show, at a homesteading show. And basically he took the tomatoes, innards, if you will, kind of smashed them up gently, and put them in like a mason jar of water. Let them sit for several days to kind of get that coating off of the seeds. Kind of swirled them around and kind of got off that outer layer. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll do 6, 7, and then laid them out, dried them on just a napkin or a paper towel or whatever. And that's what we've done. That's what we've adopted when it comes to tomatoes. Is we'll take our best and brightest tomatoes, as it were, save the innards and the seeds, put them in a jar, let them sit for a week or 2 to kind of get that water coating off, and then we dry them out on napkins, and then they get scraped off the napkins and put into these little envelopes. This one's a Sweet 100 from 2003. out. We used to kind of save them where we didn't do the water. We just kind of smash them out onto a napkin and then kind of scrape the napkin and the seeds off. And so if you get a little bit of napkin in your seeds, it's fine. Which it is. It's fine. However you get your seeds saved, get an extra one there. That's a good thing. The less you have to buy seeds, the better. There's a couple of good things about it. You know that you know where they came from and what they were grown in. And then you also, once you do it for a few years, so if I did those chocolate cherries from 2002, okay, and I planted those same saved seeds in 2003, then I took those saved seeds from that plant and planted those in 2024. Then I saved one of those from that year and did it this year. Well, then you know you have a plant that is getting, I say, more accustomed to your garden, your region, your area, your weather. And then you're just breeding it to kind of be more successful in your area. If you pick the most successful plant to save that seeds, you know, then you're just perpetuating good growth in your area specific. So it's good to your soil, your climate, and it works out. Okay, so what we're going to do, so I say all that to say that we try to save as much seed as possible. Almost all of our peppers, we save. We save as many seeds as we can. Squash seeds, everything that we can, we try to save. We tried doing carrot this year. I don't know how quite well that worked. So what I'm doing, I'm just kind of off camera for a second, just getting soil. Again, we just have a bin of it down here. And we're just going to come in and we're just going to cover that up. Like that. Cover that up. Like that. And again, if the seeds shift around a little bit in there, it's not that big a deal. Oops, get in there. Just kind of loose in. I know there's recommended depths. I get that. You know, try to follow it. On some things you really kind of have to, like lettuce and whatnot. But honestly, almost kind of no matter what depth you put them at, they're going to find a way. How many of us haven't had stray voluntary squash or tomato come up? You know where I get a ton of tomatoes coming back up is out of my chicken coop shavings and compost. So when I clean out the chicken coop, that all goes into a pile to kind of sit and age for a bit. And guess what grows out of those piles? Whatever kind of tomatoes they happen to get fed, you know, several months prior or the year prior even. And they'll just come up in the chicken coop waste because it's just going to work. Anytime I've had a tomato fall, you know, in the garden and didn't get harvested and just kind of accidentally got left behind in the row or whatever, guess what comes up next year? And I did nothing special to those seeds. I probably accidentally abused those seeds. And it's fine. It just comes up. Everything works out. It's going to find a way. So I'm not going to too tightly pack this down on top of those seeds. I'm going to water it in. And then maybe I'll label them. I'm really, really poor about labeling things. But here's what I do know. They're all cherry. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. There's only two types here. And they'll be very self-evident. Just a note when you're saving your seeds, is there going to be some cross-pollination? 100%. Yeah, so my chocolate cherry tomatoes, in the years progressively that I've been saving those seeds, the physical tomato has gotten bigger. And I think because they crossed in with some of the other things that I had growing. I personally love cherry tomatoes, and I'll just eat them right out of the garden. So I usually have several varieties. Sometimes if I find a funky variety at the store, I'll get it and plant that. And sometimes that gets crossed in. And at the end of the day, for me personally, that's fine. I don't care. They turn into cherry tomatoes. Sometimes they're more true to type on the, you know, the bright tiny reds versus the chocolate cherries, which for me are starting to kind of grow in size, and they're, you know, silver dollar sized chocolate cherry tomatoes, and they're delicious. And I'm fine with that. And again, at the end of the day, they're all going to kind of hybridize to my garden, my soil, my climate. So it just helps me out, you know, the following year after that. I know I'm going to have good, viable seeds. And at the end of the day, that's a good thing. And again, it just so, I think I mentioned it before, but it just so happens that I had a bunch of these left over from previous things. I don't throw anything away. What we've also done as well, I also have done our cherry tomatoes or tomatoes in general, in the plastic party cups. We'll cut a little hole in the bottom. We've seen it where you can do the double cup method, where you put a hole in the bottom, you put a one without a hole, put a marble or a little rock or a pebble or something like that, and then put the cup in with the hole in it, just for, you know, drainage and whatnot, and to encourage your roots to go down. And if that's what we have, then that's what we have. So I happen to have plenty of these for cherries. I have about probably just as many for when I do my whole large tomatoes next. So they'll be in these. Otherwise, we'd go the plastic cup method, which we've done before, and it's worked fantastic. Same exact method. I'll only fill it up halfway, do the seeds, water it in, and then we're good to go. Sometimes I use heat mats on these. I'll figure that out in a little bit. I'm not quite sure if I'm gonna or not. And we'll go from there.